the key characteristics are hard work, passion, creativity, vision, boldness, pragmatism, and patience. Whether you are a potential tech pioneer or innovator willing to solve social challenges, those characteristics are crucial for all entrepreneurs.
So I'd just like to say welcome to you all. And just to say to you here sitting in the room, these 5 astounding entrepreneurs have been part of changing Africa's narrative. The previous picture has been one of famine, social problems, a lack of economic growth. But like the numbers said, that narrative has changed. And I would like to just congratulate you on being part of that new narrative.
I think, this is our time. It is so important to kind of change the narrative, but it's also important to look at how we're addressing this. We can't put everything down to the public sector. As the private sector, we have a huge responsibility and a role to play in this, creating job creation. Unemployment is a global issue. Youth unemployment is an African issue because we've got a young demographic, 85% of our population being under the age of 35. And I don't think that's a liability at all. I think we are a huge asset, but if we're channeled and directed in the right way.
I want the people who have that fire, that are willing to work 12 hours a day and be uncomfortable, do things that put them on the edge for the next 5-10 years. That kind of character, that kind of resilience and spirit, it's very hard to find. So what we do is that you find that to build the business, we have to focus on the vision. We have to look at the problems we're trying to solve and solving them in a very new and sustainable way. But at the same time, it also requires building a team.
I've been investing now for the past 10 years in entrepreneurs across the continent. And for me, I think a number of things that stand out. One is the boldness of vision. I think for too long, they've told that, I get very emotional about this, where I always feel like there's a separate global standard and there's a separate African standard. And for too long, mediocrity has been assigned as the African standard. And so for me, the big thing I go for is we're not just building African companies, we're building world-class companies. And we need to get away from that mentality of saying, building a solution for Africa is necessarily different, right? So the one thing I look for is the boldness of that vision. And I like to invest in businesses that can scale Pan-African. Look, we used to trade among ourselves before the Europeans drew lines around us. And so this idea that a lot of times if you want to think Pan-African or if you want to think beyond your borders, they push back and say it's too ambitious. I reject that. I think the only way in which we can create markets big enough for us to rival the other emerging economies is for us to think at scale. So I look for business models that bold vision can be scalable, that address a lot of problems on the ground.
Before, our governments used to look at solutions to unemployment being that foreign direct investment or large projects. With the level of automation that's taking place right now, that is not going to be the answer. And it's fantastic to see countries like Rwanda who have kind of grasped that early on, who have realized that nurturing small and medium enterprises, truly enabling, empowering, and inspiring young entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs. No offense to the old men in the crowd, but young entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs are the answer. If we truly enable them by giving them necessary tools, and it's access to capital, it's informal education, it's mentorship, it's creating the right policies in order for them to thrive. I think all of this needs to be a part of our entire ecosystem and approach.
It's very important to be able to do something that impacts the people around you. And that's why, as someone who started my company, Blue Oceans, that's not the only thing I do. I've also been involved in other initiatives, youth empowerment initiatives. One of them is Spoken Word Rwanda. That's the only platform that promotes spoken word or poetry in this country. And it's kind of put this art, it's given a niche in Kigali and the country as well. I'm also the founding curator of Kigali Global Shapers. So it's not about, I'm going to have a company, I'm going to make these profits. You have to be able to think of and be passionate about going further than that. And that just, creates the momentum of being able to do more than what you've just set your mind to. And entrepreneurship, in terms of the word itself, that's how it grows. You have to think of being able to impact those around you as well.
I'd like to ask the panelists, what are the best advices or the best advice that you got from someone when you opened your first business or your business in general? Thank you.
This is a pretty short one. Stay humble, stay hungry. I think that is what it's critical because first of all, I think it can be very easy to get caught up in the hoopla of what you're creating. And it's not until you hit the low. And when you've been in business, for me, I've been in business for a half decade, you're gonna go up and down. And it's in the lowest points when you know who your friends are, when you know who your best supporters are and advisors, but also it's when you know who you are.
Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in action, in faith, in love, and in purity.
Entrepreneurship, as we heard, is increasingly recognized as the broad-based driver of economic growth and societal well-being. SMEs play an essential role in the economic development of any country by generating employment, meeting the national demand, increasing exports while decreasing imports, and creating wealth. Let us nurture SMEs as Rwanda has. We cannot be about the bottom line alone. Entrepreneurship is much more than that. It is about transforming the lives of others. If we genuinely do good, we will do well. And finally, let us stay hungry, let us stay humble, and let us never give up. Congratulations to our panelists.